Hello, this is Anton Gunn. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I know our lives are changing before our eyes with the COVID-19, aka coronavirus scare. There's a lot of things that feel different right now. Some of it is very disconcerting to have our lives halted right in the middle of everyday life to being quarantined or isolated or just away from our friends and our family. And if you are a leader of a team at work, to now have to work remotely and be away from your team. It can be very difficult for us all in the midst of these times. And it's easy for us when we are facing these kind of crises to just react to them, to have an emotional response that is out of emotion and therefore it doesn't make rational sense. But what I wanted to make a brief video about is to give you a way to not to react to what's going down, but to actually respond. To respond means to have thoughtful frameworks around how you are going to get through the time that we're in. It might be a thoughtful framework of what you need to give to your team so they can manage and move forward in the midst of this current crisis, because things are right now not normal. So what I'd like to do is to give you a simple 7-part framework that I think will be helpful to you as you move through this corona scare so that you're not reacting, you're actually responding. The first thing that I want you to do is that I actually want you to have a fierce sense of urgency about responding. Now, what do I mean fierce sense of urgency? I didn't say an emotional reaction. I said I want you to have a sense of urgency about responding. Pay attention to what's going on in the news. Pay attention to what's happening to your people and have a sense of urgency about trying to find solutions to it. It is the most important thing you can do is to try to give people timely information. And in order for you to give them timely information, you have to have a sense of urgency. The next thing that I want you to do is that I want you to always tell the truth, even when it's unpleasant. In times like these, the most important thing for people to have is truthful, factual information, rather than having rumor and innuendo, because those things confuse people and make people make mistakes. But the more truth they have, the more honesty they have, even when it's unpleasant, it helps them to make better decisions. And that's up to you as a leader. And guess what? You may not have all of the answers. That's why it's okay to say, I don't know, or say, no, I don't have the answers. Being concrete about everything that you can is the most important thing to do during this crisis. The third thing that I want you to do is I want you to understand that when you communicate, you should always communicate from the heart. Be thoughtful and deliberate about your words. Don't be glib. Don't always try to make a joke out of everything, because times like these are not necessarily funny to people and they really want real information. So I want you to speak from the heart, tell them the truth, tell them what they need to hear, and tell it to them in a way that they can believe that you believe what you're saying. That's very important. The next thing I want you to understand, it's important for you to make hard decisions. That's right. There's going to be a lot of things facing all of us that's going to require us to make some hard decisions. And you as a leader need to make a hard decision. That might be to tell your team to work remotely for the next 2 weeks or for the next 2 months. Who knows? But you need to be prepared to make the hard decisions. So gather your team around remotely, talk to them via conference call, and make the hard decisions that you need to make to keep everybody safe and healthy during the midst of coronavirus. The next thing I want you to understand that you have to do after making hard decisions is you got to rely on experts. That's right. Don't let your friends, your next door neighbor who doesn't know anything about anything, be the one to give you the information that you need to make the hard decisions. You got to rely on experts. Go to the source for the information. The experts at the federal agencies, the experts in your organization, the experts for emergency preparedness in your community. Listen to people who have more information and details than you have right now. That's the best thing you do, is to rely on experts. Another thing you need to do is you need to have a little empathy. Empathy for those folks who are losing everything right now. There's some people who are out of work who can't afford to be out of work. There's some people whose lives are being disrupted. There are people who are sick right now with coronavirus or symptoms of it, and they can't get treatment or can't get tested. So it's important for you to have a little empathy, and don't have a short fuse with people when they can't give you what you want or what you need. Be thoughtful that they might be going through something at home. They may have a family member who is affected by this tragedy and this crisis. And so I encourage you to have a little empathy. The last thing that I want you to do is to have patience. Patience is an important part of it. I said you need to have a fierce sense of urgency about responding immediately, but I want you to have patience with people. Know that people are working very hard. They're doing everything in their power to give you what you need to make the best decision, but they may not have all of the information. So a little patience and thoughtfulness about people will go a very long way during this crisis. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I want to thank you for your leadership and thank you for what you're doing. And I want you to take care of yourself, take care of those that you care about, and Godspeed.